Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I'm your host, Christy. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband, Ron, our two daughters, Tatum and Delaney, our tuxedo kitty, Lilu, and our Podengo puppy, Sophie. Welcome. Today is January 2nd, 2022. I can't believe we're already in 2022, but there you have it. I wanted to record a podcast real quick because I am going back to work after having the past week off, the day after tomorrow, and I am going back into my busy season for my department. I'm an accountant, and in the month of January, all the 1099s have to be filed, all the 1099s and W-2s, all that fun information that the IRS needs to know about the money that you have made, and that is part of my department's duties. And so I have a lot to do in the next 4 weeks. And so it's going to be a big, busy month. I am hoping that it is just going to be the month and not 7 months like it was for my department in 2021. We started out with a busy January and then had some issues with staffing in our department, and then the changes that the IRS and the government made almost daily with some of the things in order to get taxes filed. And so I ended up working, like 50 to 70 hour work weeks every month for the first half of the year in 2021. I'm really hoping to avoid that. While the overtime was really nice, my family and my physical and emotional mental health suffered. So definitely don't want to do that again. But I am geared up and ready. It's one of the reasons why I took this week off, is so that I could kind of rest and get myself situated for January. So, as I said, it is January 2nd. I'm going to go ahead and do partly my regular podcast where I talk about the things that I have finished and that I'm currently making and things that I'm thinking about making. But I'm also going to do kind of a recap of what I knit in 2021 and talk about some things that I definitely want to take care of in 2022. I suppose I should start by talking about what I am wearing. This is the Dorflinger tee that I knit out of Cascade Venzia Bulky. This was in my first sweater parade, the 2010 to 2016 sweater parade that I posted in November, maybe? Well, I don't think you can see out my window right now, but we finally got a decent snowfall. It basically snowed starting like 3 p.m. New Year's Eve all the way through well into New Year's Day. It's beautiful outside. It was very cold, but it was perfect to kind of end out the year. Everything was covered in a blanket of crisp white snow, and so it just made it feel like it was a nice beginning, a nice fresh clean start for the year. It kind of was that for us. I can't imagine it was like that for our neighbors in the Boulder County area, who so many of them have lost homes and businesses and churches and other buildings in the fires that just recently happened, which is heartbreaking. I have been anywhere that I have found that is donating help for that. I have tried to give to that. My local yarn shop, which is Colorful Yarns in Centennial, they had a 25% of all the sales that they're making starting on New Year's Eve until tomorrow, I believe, is being donated to the rescue out there. And then our church is also doing things. And so I've been able to help with all of that, because it's just devastating. Fires are just devastating. So I digress. I apologize. So I'm going to start with the one thing that I have finished. I did manage to get my Advent sweater done. If you guys recall, I was knitting this as, knitting this out of the Advent, the DK Winter Garden Advent that I had purchased from Big Sky Yarn Company. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. Each day I opened up a 20-gram DK weight mini and they were all in the Winter Garden theme. They all came with a little poem and some kind of little tchotchke. Sometimes it was a tea, sometimes it was a sticker, sometimes it was an ornament, just something that kind of went along with the color theme, which I thought was really neat. And I made this cardigan. This is the Gartrell cardigan by Tanis Lavalley of Tanis Fiber Arts. I knit it kind of blind because I couldn't do a gauge swatch. So I ended up couldn't do a gauge swatch, and the 25th day was a full skein, which was what I was going to use for the all of the edging, button band and the hem and the cuffs or the collar. So I had to do a provisional cast on, and because I couldn't do a gauge swatch, I had to kind of adjust after the first day of the month. So I ended up going down a needle size and going down a size in the pattern as well. So it was, you know, a learning experience, but I had a lot of fun, and obviously it turned out lovely. Here are some pictures of me wearing it. I love the way it fits. It gives, so it's in a perfect sizing right now because I can wear it and feel comfortable in it, but as I lose weight, which is something that I am continually striving for, it will still fit nicely for a while. Some sweaters that I have are a little on the loose side already, so as I lose weight, I won't be able to wear them quite as nicely, whereas this one, I should still get a lot of wear out of it, even if I lose a decent amount of weight in this year. I almost had enough yarn with just the Advent calendar. However, I did have to jump into my stash a little bit on the sleeves. You can see here these final colors. This one and this one are actually leftovers from my second chevron sweater, which is also a pattern by Tanis Lavalley. And then this one, and then this green is also something that I pulled out of my stash. It was left over from a baby sweater that I had made in 2021. Other than that, everything in here is from the Advent calendar. Sorry, I should say the pockets are made out of this same nerd string. These two are nerd string, and then this one is Hue Loco DK. But everything else is from the Advent calendar. So if you were making one size smaller, I think this is the 46, 42, something like that. If you were going down one size smaller, you'd probably have had enough to do the whole thing. with just the Advent. This is definitely something that I'm going to look forward to doing in the future with other Advent calendars. I loved the fact that I was able to get a DK weight instead of a fingering weight. I love fingering weight minis as well, but I have a lot already, and a DK weight I was able to use up right away. I mean, I could have made a fingering weight sweater as well, but it was really nice to be able to not have this sit. I have minis from all other kinds of things that I have collected over the years, and then they just kind of sit there, which is just kind of sad. But that is the I guess the lot of a knitter or crocheter who also has a hobby of yarn collecting, because I love to look at pretty yarn. I love to look at it in my stash, and I love to buy it. So part of that's like a whole separate hobby, is yarn collecting. But anyway, it's always nice to be able to use something up right away. So yeah. Let's see. I didn't make any real changes, except for, of course, to knit this with progressive cast-ons. I got a full skein, as I said. Oh, no, actually, let me say, I did make a slight change here in the top of the sweater. It's actually meant to be straight across, like a squared off, but I only had 7 of these buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I only had 7 of these buttons. I don't know where I got the buttons from, but they were in my stash, and I thought they looked nice. So I ended up doing just a decrease every row when I did the button band to kind of give it a little V. I wasn't going to button up this top button anyway if I had 8 buttons, so there was no real reason to put an 8th button on there. So as I said, I got a full skein for the 25th. That is this really pretty colorway. I used it for all of my ribbing bits, all the edging on the sleeves, on the body, on the collar, on the button band, and on the pockets. The pockets were done afterwards, and it was very easy. I think I might have adjusted the exact placement of the pockets. She gave you a certain amount of rows over and up to put it in, and I put it right where the blue stripe turned into the second stripe, because that made it easy to pick up the stitches. But as I said, I got a full skein. This is all that I have left of the entire Advent calendar. It's, I don't know, maybe 10 grams. This was a really pretty skein, though, and I really loved it. It was called The Winter's Garden. This is the yarn dyer, by the way. It's all in her Squish DK base. Big Sky Yarn Company. And here is all of her information. I really loved her colorways. I would love to get a sweater quantity of these 2 colors and make a stripy Christmas sweater. I think that would be beautiful. Those particularly spoke to me. I also really love this one. There wasn't many that I didn't really like. So anyway, it's all done. I knit it in 29 days. I basically kept up with the 20 gram daily thing. I did open up the full skein on December 24th instead of December 25th. But that was because I was going to need to wind it. And I wanted to make sure that I did that in a time that wasn't going to be taking away from Christmas time with my family. Our Christmas was a little disjointed anyway because my mother got COVID, and so she was very fortunate. She got a very light case of it. It was basically just like a cold, with the Omicron variant, which has been really light. I mean, everybody's getting it, but it's not so deadly, which is a blessing. But she didn't come out of quarantine until the 26th. So, well, I guess the 25th was her last day of quarantine. So we ended up having Christmas on the 27th, which was due to the fact that my brother also got sick, and we thought that it was COVID because he had been exposed to my mom, but he didn't take his test in time, and so we didn't actually find out until the 26th that he didn't have COVID. He just had a cold, and so we ended up having Christmas on the 27th. But because of that, I was able to get quite a lot of this done, having the week off this week and spending a lot of time with family. It worked out very nicely for me to be able to get this done. So I knit the whole thing with the ends woven in and the buttons done and everything in 29 days, which is pretty awesome. Pretty darn awesome. That is the only thing that I have managed to finish since the last time I podcast. But I was working on another sweater while working on that one. Several days during the month, the 20-gram mini was about all that I could get accomplished in the day, but for those days, especially on the weekends when I had more knitting time, I was also working on my ugly Christmas sweater, which is the holiday tree sweater that I showed you guys before. I had decided, like, right around Thanksgiving, because I think I bought the yarn on Black Friday, I decided with my knitting group that I was going to knit an ugly Christmas sweater. The pattern is by Kim Cameron, I believe. She did a whole 2 years of ugly Christmas sweater collections for Knit Picks, and I thought, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Well, I obviously didn't get it done before Christmas, but I have been working on it steadily, and I'm making some pretty good progress. As you can see, the body is complete, and one sleeve is complete, and it's sewn in. So all I have left to do now is the second sleeve. I'll throw this on real quick. So I did on purpose made this big. I'm knitting a 52-inch, so it's meant to be loose. Deep armholes, sleeves are just slightly too long. I wanted it to fit poorly to add credence to the ugly sweater. So I need to do the collar, and I need to knit the second sleeve. I have got it started, but I will say that I've kind of lost some momentum on this now that we're in January. I was making great strides after I finished my stripy sweater, my Advent sweater. I was just working on the body of this, and I was just knocking it out, but starting a new sleeves aren't fun, and it's striped, and it's, you know, a pain in the rear, and I'm not as excited about it right now. Which is silly, I know, but I'm trying to get other things done, and so I will work on this. It's one of the things, I posted a picture on Instagram yesterday showing the things that I have that are whips in 2020, at the end of 2021, going into 2022, that I really want to get finished. This is one of those things. I'm going to consider this finished for that post once the knitting's done. So the ugly bit, the tree, is done with duplicate stitch, and that I'm not going to put any pressure on myself to get done in the beginning of the year. I want to get the knitting done and sewn on and have that all ready, and then I will worry about the ugliness maybe during the summer when you know, our knitting kind of slumps, or maybe even next fall when I start to get excited about the winter and Christmas again. So I am hoping to get this other sleeve finished and the collar done fairly soonish. It'd be great if I could get it done this month. All this yarn is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. Yeah, Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. This is the color that I used for the body. It is Garnet Heather. The sleeves were done in Everglade Heather and Cloud. Excuse me. And then I have a bunch of single skeins in different colors to make the tree and the presents underneath the tree. So yeah, I have to say I feel pretty good about the fact that I was able to knit like 1 2/3 of a sweater in December. That's saying something. You know, I normally have like one big project and then a couple of smaller things like socks or hats on the needles at one time, and it takes me a while to get that big project done, the sweater done. But yeah, I feel like I did pretty good in December. I was pretty productive. The only other active whip that I have going right now is the pair of gloves that I promised my mother I would make. And, you know, it's funny. I made that Hysope sweater for her, and it took me a long time to knit that, and she never gave me any static over how long it was taking me. But these gloves, man, every time I talk to her, you finished my gloves yet? Are my gloves ready yet? So I need to get them done. She asked me for a pair of gloves that had open fingers on the first 2 fingers of the right hand only. And I have to be honest, if she had asked me for fingerless gloves that had all the fingers looking like this, I would have preferred that. I might have gone faster that way. There's something about finishing off fingers that is unpleasant, especially when you're talking about gloves that aren't for me, because my mom's hands are different sized than mine, and she's not here with me, so I can't have her try them on regularly. So that's one of the reasons why all of the ends are still attached and they're kind of long, because I'm not sure exactly if I need to add a couple of rows or take a couple of rows out. I'm gonna have to wait and have her try it on and see. But I've got the first glove done, as you can see. I didn't do a pattern, I just kind of knit these out of my head. I've done enough fingerless gloves over the years that I just kind of, like with my socks, I have a recipe that's in my head. And then I have the second glove on the needles, and I've been striving to get this off the needles, so I've actually made quite a lot of progress on this recently. I just cast this second glove on yesterday, and I have already taken the thumb gusset off the needles and am steadily working my way through the hand. Now this one is actually the left-handed glove, and so it will have full fingers on all of them. What I'm probably going to do is I'm either going to make them just like this one with long leads left off, or I'm gonna get to the point where the fingers need to be separated from the hand, and have Mom try this on and let me know how much longer or how much shorter these fingers need to be before I finish up. We'll see how that goes. I do have another pair of gloves that I need to get done soon. That is out of this yarn. Oh, I didn't say. This is Yarn Cafe Creations in her biscotti sock. The colorway is Kelpie. It's old, from maybe 2018. I've had it for a long, long time. And it's kind of the perfect color for my mom for gloves. This is Chasing Rabbits, and I'm knitting this for a friend. She wants something similar, only she wants to have mitten for the 3 fingers. She just needs the tips of these 4 fingers on each hand out, so that she can manipulate her phone. That's what my mom wants to be able to do. She wants to be able to play games on her tablet, but not have her hands freezing. So this pair be slightly easier because I'm only going to be doing a mitten on 3 fingers and then partial fingers on the other 2 of the hand. But I want to get this started because I promised these the same time I promised my mom hers, and that was in like November, maybe early November, so I really need to get on it. And really quickly, I want to go over the things that were in my Instagram post. These are the projects that I still have on the needles at the beginning of 2022, and I want to get them off the needles. So they're ones that I am focusing on here at the beginning of the year, with the hopes that I will get them finished before the first quarter is over. Would be great. However, 2 of them are left over from last year, so I obviously didn't succeed in that, but I'm hopeful. One is the Christmas pair of socks that I was working on at the beginning of the month, or the end of last month. I kind of hit a major sock slump, and so I really haven't been knitting on socks at all for the past month or so, but I would like to get them finished. I did only have 29 pairs to wear in December, but it worked out fine. I had a pair that was like green, just green. I had like 2 pairs that were green enough to qualify, and I wore those on the last 2 days of the month. But I have this pair, which has a full sock done, as you can see. This is Knitterly Things Vesper sock in the Holly and the Ivy colorway. And then I have the second, the second sock pretty well on its way. Here is where the heel will go. So I'm over halfway done on the body of the sock. I need to do a heel, of course. And the reason why I have this much done is because I've been taking this to places that we've gone where I knew I wasn't going to be able to work on a sweater. So Delaney's 14th birthday was last week, and we went to Meow Wolf. I took this to Meow Wolf. That was an interesting experience, Meow Wolf, by the way. But yeah, so I could probably get this done in an evening if I focused and we watched a couple of movies. But yeah, that's the one that's the furthest. I have one more pair of socks. That is these. This is also Knitterly Things Vesper sock. I think the colorway is called Sleeping Pumpkin Patch. And I have one sock without a heel and the tiniest of toes on the second sock. So still quite a lot left on this one. But again, if I can focus on them, socks don't take very long. I could get that done definitely in a weekend. I could get both these pairs of socks done in a weekend if I just worked on those. I have 2 sweaters that still need to be finished. One, of course, is my Shifty, which I was making great progress on before December and then had to put on hold so that I could knit the 2 December sweaters. So I don't expect this will take me too much longer. I got the sleeves done, I've got the collar done. I basically just need to knit down the body on several more inches. But it was, there's no shaping or anything at this point. It's very intuitive, the knitting pattern, and so it's just about doing it. So once I get some of these smaller things out of the way, this will probably, actually probably when I finish the ugly Christmas sweater, this will be sitting on the couch next to me, and it'll be what I knit in the evenings when we're watching TV as a family. And technically, I guess you could say this is a carryover from last year too, because last year this was the 8-bit sleeves that I had. However, I'm going to count this as a new one because I did rip out the 8-bit sleeves and made them into something else. So it's a whole new whip, in my opinion. That's where I'm going with. I also have the Fargo sweater. This is another one that's carryover from last year. I have a sleeve done, and that's it. Part of the reason why I haven't finished this is because it was so warm this past summer, and I just didn't want to knit on a worsted weight sweater. Plus it's moss stitch, which is beautiful, but not enjoyable. Just really not fun, all that fun to knit. The body, I think, will be more enjoyable because it has some beautiful cables on it. But this second sleeve, I've not been keen on, but I really need to get the second sleeve done because I know that if I knit the body first, I will, like with my ugly Christmas sweater, I will stall on the sleeve. So yeah, the Fargo sweater hopefully will finally be finished in 2022. If the weather stays like it is now, I'm going to be excited to knit it because I can wear it. And then lastly, I have another carryover from last year, and that is the Northman mitts. I didn't touch at all this year, I don't think. They're a beautiful color work mitten with an inner lining section. So that's why it's so big, is because I'm going to put in an inner bit in there. I just hit myself in the head. And that will make them super warm. It'd be great to have them in the winter. So we'll see how that goes. And that's it that I have. There are lots of things that I want to knit. Like I really want to knit all the sweaters right now, and I am struggling because I really, really want to cast on a new sweater. In fact, I was telling you that that my local yarn shop had is doing their 25% sale, or rather their 25% donation. So I was there on New Year's Eve and picked up 4 skeins. Actually, no, I picked up 5 skeins. I don't have the other 2 handy. Of Wonderland Fibers Mad Hatter, which is a sport weight base, which I'm going to use to knit this sweater by Hohilo Catelli. I'm super excited about it. I did pick out 5 colors for it, but when I got home, I discovered that I already had two colors that I think go better than the two that I originally purchased. So I set those aside for another project, and these are the 5 that I'm going to use to knit that sweater. And I'm excited. I want to knit that right now. It's something about stripy sweaters. That's what I want to knit, but I am putting it on hold until I finish my whips. That's my plan. And then lastly, another thing that I really want to get done in 2022 is heels and toes on all of my sock snakes. I ordered these to be cranked by Michelle, who is the Turned Heel on Instagram and Etsy. And I got some of them, I think half of them right at the end of 2020, with the plan to make them into socks in 2021, and I didn't touch them. The other half I'd purchased in 2021 and obviously didn't touch them. So definitely want to make these into socks this year. I can make 2 pairs of socks out of each one of these snakes using contrasting heels and toes and cuffs. And so that's 12 pairs of socks that I could have in my drawer. Well, 6 pairs of socks I could have in my drawer, and then 6 pairs of socks that I could gift to my mom or my daughter or my aunt. So yeah, that's definitely a plan. And then just to go over the things that I did accomplish in 2021, as I've talked about all the things that I didn't manage to get accomplished, I knit in the year 21 pairs of socks, just too shabby considering the fact that I lost sock mojo for much of the year. And then I knit 1 blanket, but it was a beautiful blanket. My gradient marled blanket that I knit out of all of the 5-gram minis that I had. That was quite the labor of love that I was so proud to get done, and to have cleared out all of those small amounts of minis. I use it. It sits on the back of our chair in the TV room, and I use it to keep my feet warm all the time when we are watching TV. I also knit 1 shawl, the one that I recently finished for Hugh Loco. That was super fun to knit. I knit 1 pair of gloves for my daughter. I knit 5 hats. 3 of them were crocheted hats, which was pretty something I'm pretty proud of, because crocheting does not come naturally to me. And then 1 was for my brother and 1 was for me. 3 baby sweaters for coworkers and family members of coworkers who had babies this year. And then I made 5 adult sweaters. Most of them were supposed to be for me. 1 ended up going to my aunt, 1 ended up going to my mom, and I think the other 3 stayed with me. So I feel like I did pretty okay for 2021, considering the fact that I worked so much at the beginning, the first half of the year, and you know, COVID and everything else. So yeah, I feel like I did okay, and I feel like 2022 is going to be even better. So I hope you guys have had a wonderful Christmas and a happy new year, and I hope that your January wraps up to be an amazing month. And I'll talk to you later. Happy knitting. Bye.